Welcome to Monarch. You are here because you've been assigned to the Kong monitoring station in the Hollow Earth. This research facility is designed so we can make sure Titanus Kong leads a long and healthy life, whilst protecting the lives of the civilians on the surface. Whilst down here, you may be required to obtain intel from the various points of interest in the Hollow Earth, such as the remnants of Kong's temple, where we might find clues to the history of the human race and how we might have coexisted with the Titans. But on those missions, you may come across the dangerous megafauna that is plentiful in the region. So in this video, we'll be going over all the Titans that could become a problem for scouting patrols and how to stay safe. Welcome to all the monsters we know of in the Hollow Earth. Strap in. When the Hollow Earth was discovered, it brought a whole new spectrum of discoveries. Its rich land has seemingly been untouched by human hands, at least for a long time. It's a savage and mystical place, reachable only by Outpost 32's subterranean vortex in Antarctica. The deep dark beneath our feet looks nothing like on the surface, with blue radioactive energy flowing through the ground and gravitational shifts causing entire mountains to seemingly float. This adding another layer to the planet we call Earth, presenting an entirely alien world. First there was the surface, then the ocean, and now the Hollow Earth. This has brought a variety of discoveries, such as weather systems never before seen on the face of the Earth, as well as illumination systems that allow the land to be lit up as if there was sunlight. We're still figuring out how all this works, and some of those research teams have set out to observe the variety of life forms that thrive down below. Some of which soar through the air like birds, and some burrow underground. Some won't take any notice of humans unprovoked, but others will immediately hunt us down, and it's our job to decipher which ones to watch out for. First, let's go over the Alpha Titans that used to roam these lands, and what their place was. Titanus Kong and Titanus Gojira. These two titans once thrived plentifully in the Hollow Earth, but a war has reduced them to just one of each species we both know as Kong and Godzilla. The Gojira outgrew the Hollow Earth ages before many of their fellow monsters and titans. Outside of Godzilla himself, the superior race of titans still remains mostly mysterious, but the memories of their kind roaming this bizarre world still remain. Through the bones and fossils spread across the lands of the Hollow Earth, we have been able to understand that Gojira are much more diverse than we originally thought. Whilst Godzilla and his cousin we call Dagon have similar attributes, others of their species grew to be much different in both size and stature. Their bones tell us that they were truly a force to be reckoned with, and that they were much more unique as individuals than we could have possibly imagined. In the short years to come, we expect to learn a lot about Godzilla's kind than we have over 7 decades following around the planet. Who knows what mysteries we'll uncover? But Godzilla tends not to travel through the Hollow Earth, so anyone in the Hollow Earth outpost doesn't have to worry about him, so we're putting him in low risk. With the Kongs, the Hollow Earth has delivered us more knowledge about their kind than we can even begin to comprehend. Not only was Skull Island not their true home, this strange physics-defying land of the Hollow Earth was perfectly suited for a giant ape to flourish. Rich jungles, tall mountains, and enough space to never feel trapped. But outside of the natural environment being well suited for the Kongs, these ancient titans did something that no other monster has, at least as far as we're aware of. They not only tamed the Hollow Earth, but they even began to build civilizations in this vast world. Temples, monuments, weapons, statues, and thrones, all crafted not by mankind, but by the ancient Kongs, growing to massive sizes and being able to take on and even defeat Gojiras. The Kongs were quickly setting the pace to be the smartest beings on or in the Earth. Kong may not be the king on the surface, but there's no denying that his kind were well on their way to being kings of the Hollow Earth. The Gojira had something to say about Kong's species' rapid evolution, and they brought a great war upon them, destroying their chances of settling the Hollow Earth completely and becoming King and Queen Kongs. From our understanding, Godzilla's species didn't like how advanced Kong's species was becoming, as they were crafting their own homes, societies, and even tools, so they looked to stop the Kongs right in their tracks. Their war was a long and brutal one, with Godzilla's species almost wiping out Kong's, but the Kongs didn't go out without a fight and even crafted weapons from parts of Godzilla's species to fight fire with fire. They recently had their rematch in Hong Kong, and Godzilla proved that he still remains the king of the monsters. For as long as we cooperate with Kong, he remains a low-risk titan. Right, that's it for the Alpha Titans. Let's move on to the subspecies of the Hollow Earth. The Arachno Claw, also known as rock critters, are tick-like life forms resembling giant, heavily armored spiders with small faces and mandibles for a mouth, and long fingers that mimic the shape of pincers. Rock critters have evolved a rock-like carapace that allows them to camouflage against the ground, shielding them from any predators. From recent research, it's found these creatures don't actually have exoskeletons like insects, as initial observations suggested. These are in fact vertebrates, as we've observed bodies with rib cages and shoulder blades beneath their thick carapace. Whilst these creatures look small, they are absolutely a threat to watch out for, as with their camouflage ability, they're incredibly capable predators for smaller creatures like nesting Psycho Vultures or even humans. They are not intelligent and act purely based on instinct, and like ticks, they find sleeping titans and crawl up on them to feast on their blood until they're full. Their armor's resistive to conventional human weapons, but handheld rocket launchers like the FGM-148 Javelin can take one out when aimed at their weak spots between the joints. But since they travel in packs, if you find one, it means more are nearby, so avoiding them is advised. If you're scared of spiders, these are definitely something to watch out for. We classify these creatures as medium risk. Warbats. These territorial cobra-like titans were the first new creatures to be discovered in the Hollow Earth, and they have a nasty attitude. These large reptilian creatures feature grey scaly skin, two enormous fangs that protrude from the bottom jaw, and two red membranous wings running down both sides of its serpentine body. Their snake-like form has evolved over millions of years to perfectly navigate the terrain of the Hollow Earth, flying over the terrestrial creatures that wish to harm them, as well as being seemingly unbothered by the gravitational shifts in the land. These apex predators like to hunt in packs and communicate with one another with low-frequency cries, which tells us they are highly intelligent. Their main plan of attack is to constrict their enemies, wrapping their slender bodies around the prey, clutching tight, and then covering the face with their wings in order to prevent them from breathing, suffocating them until they either pass out or die. Once their prey has stopped moving, they retract their wings and feast on the body of their defeated foe. In the first excursion to the Hollow Earth, these creatures attacked Kong and nearly killed him via suffocation, but thanks to the Heave's onboard weapon system, they were able to force the warbats into retreat, indicating that their wings are a weak spot. But due to these titans being on a perpetual hunt, we're classifying them as high risk. Photodon. We don't know too much about this creature, as it tends to spend its time in lush forests, rarely leaving its home for food, and when it does, it tries its best to blend into its environment. Once spotted feasting on an Arachno Claw, these creatures walk on all fours and have brown scaly skin with rows of spikes protruding down its back, which may act as a defense against flying predators like the aforementioned warbats. Their skull structure is rather stubby, with jaws filled with razor-sharp teeth, and due to a face that only a mother can love, it's led research teams to nickname this monster Titanus Doug. Some have claimed that this creature could be a subspecies of Godzilla, or perhaps a distant relative, with some features like binocular vision, crocodilian-like skin, and dorsal plates also being present on the king of the monsters. Because their eyes are forward-facing, this allows for binocular vision, meaning they have incredibly good eyesight, and despite its cute appearance, it's a formidable predator. Because of its brownish skin tones, it has the ability to blend into its environment and ambush creatures when they're at the most vulnerable, making hunting easy for this predator. We have yet to encounter one of these creatures, as they seem uninterested with humans as a food source, but due to its thick hide and ability to sneak attack, we're going to place it as medium risk. The Psycho Vulture, also known as one ugly-ass bird by Colonel Packard, is a species of large reptilian bat-like creature with a wingspan of 3 to 9 feet that somewhat resembles a pterosaur. These are the first Hollow Earth creatures to ever be documented, as they were found to flourish on Skull Island during Monarch's reconnaissance mission to the island in 1973. These creatures somehow found a way to migrate to the surface. This may be a result of Skull Island being pushed to the surface by a great geological event millions of years ago. There were various subspecies of Psycho Vulture, such as the smaller creature called Leafwing, which gets its name from the green leaf-shaped wings, which has a slightly smaller wingspan of 3 to 5 feet. These creatures have demonstrated insane levels of strength, as 2 Leafwings were able to lift an entire person up and cut him in half to make the body easier to fly away with. A swarm of these things could take out an entire platoon, and their speed makes them incredibly hard to take down. The harrowing name comes from the psychotic state they go into upon digesting a certain poisonous pufferfish, which makes them incredibly violent. The resulting mania caused by the chemical agent pushes the Psycho Vultures to violently hunt down everything it encounters, even members of its own species. But whilst these pufferfish are plentiful off the shores of Skull Island, they are nowhere to be seen in the Hollow Earth, which makes the variants found below the surface much more relaxed. From Monarch's encounters with the deranged Psycho Vultures, we've found they have no armor plating and are vulnerable to any handheld firearm, and can even be dealt with sharp blades. Because of their more relaxed state in the Hollow Earth, we're going to give them a low risk. They will most likely avoid you and are more scared of you than you are of it. These creatures are unlike anything seen on the surface. The Shimida is a multi-limbed vertebrae with greyish skin and mandibles with 6 moving parts that fold backwards, to be used in a chilling manner. These reptilian creatures bury themselves in swamp-like areas and deploys moss and lichens to be used as a natural camouflage, and they fold out their mandibles flat on the ground to wait for unsuspecting prey to wander onto the trap, before it slams it shut like a Venus flytrap catching its prey, devouring anything that's unfortunate enough to end up in its mouth. Its hook-like legs anchor it securely into the ground to ensure no movement of its body, so that it can blend in with the surrounding environment perfectly. This creature does not have good eyesight, and when buried underground loses all ability to see, but it has advanced sensory organs in its mouth to efficiently detect even the slightest of footsteps. Though thanks to these creatures living in exclusively dark and swampy areas, it's easy to avoid them, as they never wander into light areas. You'd only be at risk if you were to fall into a dark cavern alone with one of these monstrosities. So for that reason, we're going to rank it as medium risk. And finally on this list, we have the Hellhork. These hideous bat-like creatures sport vulture-like heads, light brown bird-like skin, talons, leathery wings, and armored backs covered with thin strands of hair-like feathers, and light dorsal plates. These creatures have been estimated to reach around 8 feet tall, with a wingspan of approximately 20 to 25 feet, large enough to carry even a fully armored human away. Hellhawks are aggressive predatory creatures that inhabit the caverns of the Hollow Earth, hanging upside down like bats, awaiting the darkness of night so they can commence their hunt. First encountered in Kong's ancient temple, these creatures commenced an assault on an entire squad of soldiers before it was destroyed by Godzilla's atomic breath. These creatures are easily agitated and will relentlessly swarm any aggressor that they come across. They are fiercely defensive of their kills, as food is likely rare deep within the caverns of the Hollow Earth. This was reported when an apex soldier was killed by a lone Hellhawk before a second creature came along in an attempt to challenge the other Hellhawk for the carcass. Their front-facing eyes also help them exceed at hunting, as they can properly focus on the subjects in their line of sight, diving down from high altitudes directly onto their prey, before tearing them to shreds with their huge, raptor-like talons. Scientists have also theorized that these creatures also have a queen and work in unison as a hive mind, with the queen being much larger than the smaller members of its species. One of these queens could take down aerial monarch vehicles effortlessly, so this species is one that we must cautiously observe for the safety of our mission in the Hollow Earth. The Hellhawks are incredibly fast, being a nuisance for even Kong, and with their incredibly sharp beaks, wing strength, and sheer numbers, they are definitely something to watch out for on your expedition into the Hollow Earth. For these creatures, we're going to rank them as high risk. The Hollow Earth is as deadly as it is beautiful, so make sure to hang on to your Monarch Survival Manual because it could mean the difference from life and death. Never venture outside the compound without backup, your safety gear, a line of communication, or weaponry, as they will assist you in your journey. If you spot a Titan, do not approach, as some are extremely territorial and it may commence an attack on you and your squad. Disregarding the rules will lead you to being dismissed from your duties and you will be sent back to the surface without pay. Remember, there's still much to learn about the region. Countless monsters may have yet to be discovered, with some potentially more dangerous than those mentioned in the video. So keep an eye out for anything that might be creeping behind you, because it might just want to eat you. Thank you for deciding to join the Monarch Hollow Earth expedition at the Kong Research Outpost, where we're on the cusp of countless earth-shattering discoveries. See you out there!